So this is a big new job. Congratulations.
Thank you very much,
How
Jenna.
does it feel in this moment for you?
This exact moment feels like an exciting thing is about to happen. I have felt like I've had a couple of weeks to sort of recalibrate, which has been really nice. Fashion Week now is around the corner. I'm going to be traveling a lot. We have our first issue coming out today, obviously. And so it does feel like we've been working really hard, and now things are happening that have been in the pipeline.
Well, it's appropriate to say you've been working really hard, because I know people that know you well, and every single one of them said Chloe is the hardest worker.
Oh, that's nice.
I mean, I think if it's a unanimous, it must be true. And you've been here for almost your entire career.
I've been on and off, mostly on at Vogue for 15 years. I started the Tuesday before the Met Gala in 2011. I have done most jobs at the magazine in some capacity, or worked in some area of the magazine in a lot of capacities. Writer, editor, sittings editor. I've been producer on shoots. I've sort of bopped around. I host the podcast now, which is fun. And so it feels like an exciting moment to take on a new role. I was editing the website right before I took on this role.
There was obviously a lot of speculation about who would get this job. Talk to me about how it went down, how you got the call, what went through your mind, sort of that process.
Well, Anna likes things to be under very high secrecy. It was like the Pentagon Papers being shared. But it was at the end of August, and Anna was actually on vacation, but she came into the office specifically to tell me in person, which I thought was lovely. And I met her on a different floor, which is where she sometimes does more sensitive meetings. And she shared the news with me, and we talked a little bit, and then we went to go speak to our head of HR. And I just remember walking down the hall with her and sort of thinking, I don't know what we're going to talk about right now. So I commented on the fact that she was wearing a Jacquemus shirt dress that had little sheep on it. I was like, oh, you have little counting sheep on your dress. She's like, go away, Chloe.
Were you surprised, or after 15 years of sort of dedication, it was something that you kind of hoped for in a way where you were like, okay, hopefully this is me, you know?
I think you're always surprised when something like this happens. It had been sort of a parlor game at fashion dinner parties for a long time of who would take over for Anna. And I really never sincerely thought that would be me. And I think that it still isn't, because Anna, I do feel, is very present, and I appreciate that. And it feels like a different type of role that's been created. What Anna's role had been is not something that is a modern editor's role today. And so I do feel like the concept of who is replacing Anna isn't really accurate or true. And I think that's one of the reasons Anna maybe felt that I was the right person, because I don't look to replace her. I am really happy to have her contributing to our planning and part of our conversations, and really in the weeds with me as we're working on this together.
I know she's been a mentor to you for a long time, and she actually said this about you and your new role. She said, I'm excited to continue working with her as her mentor, but also as her student, while she leads us and our audience where we've never been before. I mean, you're Anna Wintour's teacher. That feels like...
What's funny about that is I actually wrote the script for Anna's masterclass that she did.
Oh, you did?
So I do feel like I was teaching others how to be Anna. But Anna is very generous and gracious, and not sure what exactly I'm teaching Anna, but I hope that it can be exciting and unexpected.
You know, she also says you're leading Vogue to a place that's never been. And obviously it's no secret that publications are in a place that they've never been in. So where do you hope to lead Vogue?
I know people, when I got this job, first of all, it was overwhelming, the amount of people who came out of the woodwork to congratulate me and
Yeah.
reach out. My husband said it was like we had a third child because people were like coming, like high school teachers. It was lovely, but overwhelming because everyone said, congratulations, what's your vision?
Yeah.
And I just want to say, it's 2020, leave me alone. But for me, and I did go through a very long, laborious application process for this role and a proposal that, I did several drafts of. And what I really kept coming back to in that proposal was the idea of joy and optimism and excitement about the magic that Vogue can bring. And I think that Vogue has always been exceptional at breaking news and providing real hard-hitting journalism that is in depth and has access and authority in a way that other publications don't, but also providing these magical fantasy escapes and ways to look at fashion and have fashion interact with our world. And I think that's what's exciting to me. And that was something that I really thought about as I was putting together this proposal. In my first editor's letter, I talked about how for Halloween 2 years ago,
I loved it.
Dressed up as Miss Frizzle.
Yes. From the Magic School Bus.
From the Magic School Bus. And my daughter Alice we made her a Magic School Bus cardboard cutout out of a cardboard box. And I do, it is silly and hokey, but one, I think that, Miss Frizzle always dresses to reflect the things she's excited about and the places she wants to go and see. And it is about magic and about sort of everyone leaning into their own eccentricities and the things that excite them. And to me, we are in a very uncertain media moment and things are changing quickly. And the way, in my opinion, to remain relevant throughout that is to create stories and content across all our platforms that feel truly unique to Vogue and to the people who work at Vogue. So what is the type of story that I passionately am excited about? And that can be a little kooky. That can be something that maybe feels off the beaten path. But if that authentically represents what me and the people on our team are thinking about and excited about, then that's something that makes it Vogue.
You talked about the storied, magical Vogue. I think we can all remember sort of our first. I remember remember, but can't remember her last name. Amber. I'm probably
Valletta?
Yeah, Valletta was on. Was on the cover of this Vogue that my sister Barbara and I would just look through and pass it back and forth. Maybe our first. But what about you as a little kid? Was this something you dreamed about? Is this what you wanted to be when you grew up?
No. I always wanted to be a writer from when I was 8 years old. I started keeping a diary at age 7. As my mother and I talked about this recently, it was maybe a questionable decision. My mother let me read Anne Frank when I was 7. She was reading that to me. And so I started keeping a diary. So I always wanted to be a writer. And in college, I studied comparative literature. I was on the school newspaper. And I was actually very interested in working in public health and the aid in the developing world, and sort of did a little bit of that and decided it wasn't exactly a fit for me. And my first journalism job was writing about real estate at the New York Observer. So I was writing all the news of New York City transfers. And that was actually fascinating and a wonderful first job, because it turns out real estate is really a way to track the way power moves in New York and the trends of what people are caring about and who's moving where, et cetera. And working at Vogue was not something I'd always been interested in fashion and enjoyed fashion, but it was not someplace that I grew up thinking I must work at Vogue. I more wanted to work in journalism with interesting people who challenged me. And I say this to people when young people say, what's your advice about getting into the media world? And to me, it's always take the meeting, because
That's my advice too.
Really? I met with many people when I came to interview for my first job at Vogue, and the thing that impressed me across the board was how unbelievably smart and sharp and funny and on it. Everyone who worked at Vogue was. And to me, that remains the thing that I am most in awe of with Anna, is her ability to hire and nurture and mentor really smart people who are the best at what they do. And so for me, part of what, people are like, how are you doing? How is the new job? And what makes it worth the sort of stress of feeling like I'm under all this pressure and just feeling like my to-do list is never getting done is that I get to come in every day and spend the day with people who I love being with and love problem solving with, and coming up with story ideas and figuring out, is something too weird? Is something just weird enough? Is this the right way to go about this? Someone on our team is a big fan of this TikToker who finds bodega cats and interviews them.
I've met the TikToker and a couple bodega cats myself.
Well, I'm so glad because we started talking about this. We were like, how do we make this Vogue? And we had also been talking about how there was a spring trend of pendant necklaces.
Oh.
And so I said, why don't we have pendant necklaces that cats are playing with? And so we have a shoot going live this week of bodega cats playing with necklaces.
Oreo was the name of the cat that I met.
Well, we had a huge problem, and this goes to my point, which is that it was one of the coldest days, and the cats were being very shy. And so they wouldn't come out and play with the pendant necklaces. So we had this emergency meeting of how to get the cats out of their shell.
And you just thought, is this really my work?
And I was like, this is a delight. This is what I get to do all day. And it feels like such an enormous pleasure. And a lot of people I work with now are people I've worked with here at Vogue in a variety of capacities for 15 years. And it feels like such an honor to be working with them in this different way and seeing what goes into every facet of all of the work we do across every platform at the brand.
It must be fun sort of sitting on top of all of it now, because you have been in so many different roles. To take a view from the top must be so interesting.
I mean, I feel like I'm
a view from the
trenches of sorts.
You talked about the secrecy that went in sort of with the announcement and with the fact that you received this role. Could you call people? Did you call your husband or?
No, Anna said, Chloe, you cannot tell anyone, not your mother, not your husband. It was just me and Anna and Roger Lynch, the CEO, and Stan Duncan, the head of HR. And I was actually alone in the city with my dog because my husband was in Connecticut with my kids at Forest Camp. And so I came home and I just sort of looked at Lloyd and I said, Lloyd, you're the only person I can tell.
And you're a dog.
Yes. And Lloyd didn't care. But Lloyd knew we were about to launch Dogue 2.0, so Lloyd was happy about that.
Yeah, he's like, as long as I have a starring role, it's awesome. So it was announced and then you told your family?
I told my husband a few days before because we had to come home early for the New York Times article. It was over Labor Day weekend.
Yeah.
Then it got leaked a day early, and so then I thought, wow, I really have to tell my mother. So I had dinner the night before it was announced with my mother and my godmother, and I told them.
And what were their reactions?
They were very excited. My godmother had a lot of advice about how I need to make it clear my role is different now, which I haven't taken all of that. But and my mother was very emotional and just sort of, she's still convinced that Dogue is a print issue. And she's like, I still haven't seen Dogue. And I'm like, I don't have time to explain this to you. So
she was proud.
Print is not dead for Candace.
No, exactly. They're looking for it everywhere. Yeah. You and I have some things in common, which is that we have famous families. And I know you haven't shied away from speaking about them. I feel like there's no secret that it probably helped you get a job interview, but there's no way it helped you keep your job for 15 years. Do you find that you work harder because of, being your mother's daughter, or how is it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the reason I say that I'm a proud Nepo baby, obviously I'm not proud to have advantages that others have. I'm proud because I'm fiercely proud of my parents.
Yes.
And I am so impressed by everything that both of them have done. And most of all with my mother, the way that she managed to be working so hard when I was little. My dad mostly wasn't living with us because he was working in France. And so she really created this environment where never for a minute did I feel she was not present. but she was working more than 5 days a week filming Murphy Brown and working till 2 a.m. on Fridays. And that guise that she successfully made of making me feel like the only thing that mattered is something that I am very inspired by.
Yeah, how'd she do it?
She was really smart. She really built a community around me of my grandmother, my uncle, my fake aunt. I had amazing nannies who were very close to me and her. And she built this community around us that made me feel loved and supported at all times. And now as a parent myself, I mean, I'm in a different situation because my husband is a very present co-parent and very much the primary parent in a lot of ways. But I think about that when it's who are the friends of their family, who are the family that are also friends, and how do you make your children's life as rich as possible through doing that. But to answer your question, I do think my entire life have been extremely sheepish and hyper aware of the assumption of privilege that my true privilege has come with. And I've always wanted to prove to people that I am more than that and that I can work harder than anyone to show you that I'm here for the long haul. And, you know, someone recently in a media report sort of dismissively called me a workhorse. And I was like, that's the nicest thing you can say about me. I'd much rather be called a workhorse than a show pony or, you know, just a creative figurehead. Like, that is not at all what I would like my reputation to be.
It sounds very familiar. This is like therapy. Thank you. You are raising 2 young kids with this huge job. How do you, and I hate the word balance, so I'm not even going to use it.
Badly.
Hate it. No, but you don't do it badly. There's no way. The first thing I mean, first of all, I've seen that there are Legos in your office.
That's
like
true.
There feels like there is some thought that goes into it. And I've been told by my therapist that if there's thoughts going into it, that you're doing something right, you know?
I am workshopping how to be more present when I'm home and separate being at home and at work. And my husband and I talk a lot about, you know, he says, I don't mind your hours. The travel is fine. I can handle that. It's hard when you're in the living room checking your phone going, I mean, yesterday we had a story go live earlier for emergency reasons, and I was sort of in the middle of taking my son to ski school, and I was like, had 64 messages about this one piece, and it was sort of, I was more frustrated with my son than I would have been if I hadn't been dealing with those messages. So it was about how to not let what's making me stressed in my phone translate to the Lego that we're building, which right now, Santa brought Arthur a 3,700 piece Daily Bugle Lego from Spider-Man. And I also just learned this, both Spider-Man and Superman work at newspapers.
Oh, yeah.
Which I told Arthur, I was like, superheroes work in print media. Print is
like
not
your
dead.
mother.
Yeah.
Yes, let's do this 3,700 piece, which good on you.
So
I have to
we're
say
like,
that takes a lot of patience.
It's 5 stories. We're on the 3rd story. We're on the 9th bag. But I do find Legos very relaxing. I've been trying to put my phone in a different room.
Yes.
Which ends up meaning that I spend a lot of time in the hallway between my kids' rooms. But in theory, I don't go into their rooms with my phone.
Yeah, I
and
think
that's something
good.
that's been helpful. I'm also trying to learn from things where I am letting things drop. Like, I love holidays, and I love making Christmas cards for my kids' teachers with my kids. And this December was so intense, and there's so much going on with work, and I did not have time to do it. And our nanny did it with my daughter, and they made amazing Christmas trees out of, cut out paper, and they were great. And I just got home and I saw them and I burst into tears because I was so sad that I hadn't been able to do that with her instead. And so, you know what? We got Valentine's Day supplies January 5th. And I was like, we are starting early because Valentine's Day is during Fashion Week. I'm not gonna have time for this. Let's do this January 5th. And guess what? They were already 40% off. So clearly I was doing something right. And we've been making Valentines for a month. My son is obsessed with villains. And so we're making Valentines, which we're really proud of.
So who are the villains?
Oh, Maleficent, Cruella, Jafar, Captain Hook, Scar. We're thinking of different puns for different people, like I'm hooked on you.
Ooh, I like
or
it.
you're the poisoned apple of my eye. Oh, for Ursula. Poor Unfortunate Soulmate.
Oh, I love
We've been really
that.
workshopping.
God, you're making me want to be creative.
Yes, well, it's been long simmering because I was so upset that I missed my holiday moments. So I am trying to learn from when I let the ball drop and prioritize things that I really care about doing with my kids. But I'm never going to be, I mean, my husband takes them to the dentist at 3 p.m. on a Wednesday, and I just have accepted that that's not going to be my role, and that's okay.
And also, isn't it great that you married somebody that
Totally
is a partner like that for you?
He's in the mom chats, he's on the PTA, like he's the only dad. I mean, he's really leaning in. I mean,
So
couldn't be happier.
My rule is that I only go to stuff where they can see me. Like, I don't feel guilty if I miss the parents' cocktails.
Oh,
because,
I know. I was thinking that too.
Yeah. Like, it doesn't, how does that benefit them?
Completely. This is a new thing for me because with preschool, when we started preschool, I was like, felt like I had to go to every parent's cocktail and everything. And I was like, no, I'm going to really prioritize like the carnival, the whatever, like things that we go to together.
Exactly.
Because that's fun. I love my kids' teachers. I'm so grateful to them. I love hanging out with them, but I don't need to do that without my kids.
Exactly. Where they see that you're part of it.
And dropping them off at school has been a really important thing for me. And that's something I really make an effort to do, even though it gets me in later than I probably would like.
Should. Yeah. The Met Gala is right around the corner. Are you excited? I mean, how does this role change the preparations for you, or sort of the excitement that goes into it?
It's a good question. I don't know that it changes my role in preparations too much because I was so deeply integrated and invested in the Met planning. Both, I have to say, back in the day, I used to edit a Met Gala special issue that we would put together. We would come in at 3 a.m. on the night of the Met, Tuesday morning, and we would have 60% of the magazine, or 70% done, and then we would put in all the photos of the night before. We'd ship it by that Tuesday night. It would come out by the end of that week. And it was great. It sold on newsstands. People loved it. Now we don't do that anymore. But I'll say I edited the book about the Met Galas. So I do feel the Met is something I've been worked on and been involved in for a long time. I am excited to be on the host committee this year. I'm excited to really be thinking about, I love this exhibition theme. I think it's really rich and exciting. I'm excited to look at all the different ways that we can explore stories and content and videos and podcasts around that theme and use that as a jumping off point. I recently went with a few colleagues to get a tour of the planning of the exhibition and see what works of art are being involved, and Andrew Bolton walked us through, and it's exciting to see part of that, and that makes you feel like you are part of this creative genesis of something.
Just lastly, it's not like you're really filling Anna Wintour's shoes. It's a new role. But what do you hope you've learned from her that you can sort of bring to this new place? And how do you hope to do things differently?
I learned a lot from Anna. And I have to say, it's something that I learn daily. Today, I feel that I'm so pulled in so many different directions all the time. It's very hard not to be on my phone. I just had my weekly one-to-one with Anna, and she did not look at her phone for 30 minutes. She sat, she talked to me, she was very relaxed, she was very comfortable giving me the time. Her attitude was, we are here to talk about whatever you need to talk about, and for what I'm here to help answer your concerns and needs today. And that to me is such a supportive, important way to be present for someone. And I really hope to be able to do that for other people on our team. And I worry that sometimes now, because I am so stressed all the time, someone will come in with a question for me and I'm like, what is it? Gotta go. So I'm inspired by that. I also learned from Anna about pushing people, and that can sound like a bad thing, but it's not. We're all always doing so much. And Anna is very good at checking in on things. How is this shoot going? I know it's supposed to be shot in May, but you know what? May's around the corner. How is your book club going? Did you get Emerald Fennell? And I said, you know what? She said no, but you're right. I'm going to follow up with a personal note to Emerald. And guess what? After I did that, she said yes. And now we're doing it this weekend, and I'm really excited about it. But Anna is really good at just keeping people pushed one step ahead of where they would be otherwise. There's no settling back on your heels. You're on the tips of your Manolos.
Yep, for sure. And do you feel like that's how you lead naturally, or how do you feel like you're bringing something different? Do you know? And I know it's not the exact same role, so by nature, it's different.
Well, I mean, I also, I've worked with, over the past few years, an executive coach, and I've talked to a lot of people about ways to lead, and that you're not there to be everyone's friend. And, something I think about a lot is clarity is kindness. And sometimes I'll be worried about asking someone to do something, and it's like, oh, would you mind doing this? I'm sorry, it's okay if not. It's like, just say, could you please do this? I know it's late, thank you. And so I'm trying to learn to be a clear, decisive communicator, but also I do think it's important to be yourself. And I'm someone who's very available and very open. I like discussing things in a group and having a decision that comes from debate and healthy argument. And so I want to be able to encourage that. And I also really care about the people on our team. And we all care about each other and have fun together. And we work really hard, but we support each other. And I never want to shy away from that.
Hey, thanks for watching. And don't forget, you can catch the Today Show every morning on NBC, or take Today when you're on the go. Just follow the Today podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen.